Good evening, good evening, good evening, and thank you again for tuning in to Community Updates and Enlightened Hearts. I'm your host, Michelle White, and my host, Regina Hall, Dr. Regina Hall. We are here and we are happy that you are here. Tuning
Yes.
in live, we're here live, and we've got Dr. Portia Lockett here with us this evening, who's going to be sharing with us how to have permission to love. And so before we get started, we like to give you some community updates about some things that are happening within your area or other areas. One, the Section 8 housing is open still,
Wow.
and it's with Oakland County. But Section 8 housing you can take anywhere. Once you get on Section 8 housing, you can use it in another state. But you can use it in all counties have a responsibility to give some Section 8 housing to whomever. So don't think, oh, I can't move here. Yeah, you can. And then also the NACA program, NACA. I've had several calls with people saying need housing assistance and how do I get on? NACA.org is a government program that assists you with first home buyers down payment assistance. They help you with how to navigate to get your finances in order. And I know many people who have gone through the NACA program that are just have successful lives and they beautiful homes, and it's helped them tremendously. So check out naca.org also. As you know, school is in and people are looking for different positions and employment. Well, there are a lot of different colleges that have free training, and you can go to school while you're making money working and getting trained. So Wayne County Community College District has a commercial driver's license. Get your CDL driver's license. That's one program. And then there's also another one with it's an automotive program where you can work and go to school while you're working and work at Mopar in the automotive industry and learn how to work on the electric vehicles. So you can give Wayne County Community College District a call at area code 313-496-2300. Again, that's 313-496-2300, and find out about some of the programs. But not just that collegiate institution. All collegiate institutions are providing various forms of training. Call them, contact them. Don't be afraid. Find out what is out there that meets your need. And so that's just a couple of things. Go to my Facebook page, Michelle Turner White, and you'll see a myriad of employment opportunities that I have posted throughout the past 2 weeks, as well as you'll see the Section 8 housing dates and the information there. So check it out, Michelle Turner White on Facebook. And Dr. Regina, do you have something that you wanted to share with us?
I do. So, we're celebrating Black History Month. And I've been doing, we call it Tuesday celebration of Black history. And so I just wanted to read this about Medgar Evers' home. Um, uh, Former President Barack Obama actually made his home a historical site, which is beautiful. And, when we hear about people, we talk about Dr. Martin Luther King, we talk about Rosa Parks. But when we think about Medgar Evers, I'm not really sure how many people really know. So I did post him, and it was inspired by Joy Reid, who is on MSNBC, and she wrote a book about the love affair of him, his wife, and him. And I thought that was so powerful. And so, what I want to share that during World War II, Medgar Evers actually fought in World War II, only to come home to a gunpoint of him and his 5 friends for trying to sit in a restaurant. And it was at gunpoint that he decided that, wow, I didn't fought in World War II and I can't even sit here in America, just freely sit. And him and 5 friends actually began to fight for civil rights. And I think that's so important to understand. And so they said he was on the Battle of Normandy only to confront a battle of a battle of a profoundly different nature, one for his very rights and dignity. His unwavering resolve ignited after he and five friends were denied their democratic voice at gunpoint. A sobering reminder that the fight for equality knows no boundaries. As we reflect on such pivotal moments, let's honor the legacy of those like Evers who teach us that our quest for equal rights is relentless, demanding courage both on distant shores and within the precinct of our consciousness. And I thought that was great. And so if you go to my Facebook page, reginachall.com, Regina C. Hall, you will see that I even have some writings about his home becoming a historical site, which is great.
Awesome.
Yes.
And before I forget, we are on WJZZ Cool TV, and WJZZ Jazz is back. For all of you who love listening to jazz, WJZZ Jazz Station is back live in full effect. And this coming Thursday, there's going to be an event called the Bricks at the Bricks Wine location, which is in downtown Detroit on Franklin Avenue, and it's for the hot and sexy. So if we got any hot and sexy people out there, you need to come on over to the Bricks Wine building. It's a new venue. It'll be 7:30 there. This is their grand opening next Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Come on over to the Bricks Wine, 15188 Franklin Avenue, and you can give the station here a call if you have any questions, any further information. But it's for the hot and sexy, so you can come on over. And then next Thursday, the following Thursday, there's going to be every other Thursday, twice a month, WJZZ does a jazz series at the Aretha Franklin Cafe inside of the music hall. So the following Thursday, they have a gentleman that will be here. And if you like jazz, if you don't like jazz, some people say they like it, don't like it, but it's cool. And it's a nice venue, so you can come on over to the Aretha Franklin Jazz Cafe, but you have to purchase your tickets ahead of time for this. So you can go to WJZZ's website page, their Facebook page, and get further information. And they will have you can order your tickets. They're going to have a gentleman named, that's going to be in concert, and I forget his name.
I forget his name too.
And this is taking
Well,
too
they
long to
can-
come up. But
yeah.
they can contact the station for the jazz series, which is twice a month on Thursdays at the Aretha Jazz Cafe inside of the music hall. Ivan Benning and friends will be there
Okay.
the following Thursday, February the 15th. So maybe you're looking for something to do right before Valentine's Day, which is the 14th. So it's that weekend. Come on over to the Aretha Jazz Cafe and check it out. Ivan Benning will be there to give you some hot, sexy jazz. So I think that's it for right now. So we've got Dr. Portia Lockett, who's going to be talking to us. And Dr. Regina, you were going to share her bio?
Yes, and it's just so much a joy to have you here today,
Yes.
and exciting to have you here. Even though I know we're going to be talking about grief, it's really a topic we don't talk about enough. So I really appreciate you being here and your story and the way you have triumphed through so much. And so thank you for being here today. So no further delay. Grief can be overwhelming and difficult for employers to manage. It is important to remember that each person has their own unique way of expressing and dealing with grief, which means the same approach will not work for everyone. As a leader, it is essential that you are proactive about protecting your staff mental health during this challenging time. Dr. Portia Lockett has spent years helping others through difficult times, building relationship with those marginalized by trauma, and bridging the gap between crisis intervention and long-term emotional stability. Drawing from deeply meaningful stories about losing loved ones, as well as decades of professional experience working in this field, she'll provide insightful strategies for overcoming challenges, both practical tips as well as guidance from her own lived experience. No matter what background you come from or where you are in your journey of healing, let Dr. Portia Lockett give you hope during these trying times. Contact her today to discuss how she may be of support to you or your organization. And again, we're so happy to have her here to talk about a subject that is actually most of the time people don't want to deal with. So thank you.
Right, my pleasure.
Yes, yes. So I'll give the first question to you.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, tell us a little bit more about how you even got involved in grief. And I just read about the marginalized and your own experiences and building from stories over the years. How did you come to get involved in grief, as well as I believe your title is
I'm Director of Spiritual Care and
yes,
Community Affairs for the Detroit Medical Center.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes. So, it really goes back a while. It's really funny how things come full circle. When I was younger, one of my father's best friends owned Burns Funeral Home over on Joy Road. And
Okay.
so I was just around people who were grieving all the time. However, at that time, I just didn't know what they were experiencing. I just saw people crying, from, just the loss of a loved one. But fast forward, I was just that person that people would come to, when they were having issues in life. And a
Okay.
lot of times people want to put grief in a box, and it's
Yes.
relating just to the loss of a loved one. But grief has so many different components, so many
Yes.
different layers of grief. So when we talk about grief, grief can be from definitely the loss of a loved one. It could be the loss of a relationship. It could be the loss of having the ability to have intimacy. It could be the loss
Yes.
of a pet. It could be the loss of losing a job. I think we were all experiencing the loss of something during COVID.
Yes.
When the whole world came to a halt and there were so many different things that we could not do anymore. So putting all those things together, there was a calling on my life years ago, and I just answered that call and went into the chaplaincy. And so working in the community as well as in hospitals when people were receiving not so good news, not positive news, being
Yes.
diagnosed with a chronic illness, discovering that this is the time that we're going to have to put mom or dad or grandma, grandpa, in hospice or in palliative care. So all those things contribute to the way we grieve.
Yes.
Companies shut down and they're folding, no longer able to provide for your family. That's all those are ways that one can grieve.
Yes. And I love how you said in your bio, no one grieves the same.
Absolutely. Because we're all different. The word
Yes.
says we are all uniquely and wonderfully made in his image. So that means we are different because there's no two relationships that are just the same. All three of us could have gone through a divorce, but the circumstances are totally different, so we're going to grieve differently. I'm in several support groups with other mothers who have lost children, but the circumstances were different. And so we can't just compartmentalize, the matter of grief.
That's right.
You can't put it
Yeah.
in the box.
And I remember you were there for us when my mother passed back in 2010 at DMC.
Yes.
And that was very helpful and supportive at a time that the family, we needed that care.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So I'm just very honored that God has me in this space.
yes.
So tell us, you deal with a lot of people and you said no one grieves alike. Tell us, your definition of grief.
Any uncomfortable or any unnormal circumstances that may be in your life that
Okay.
you're having a hard time, dealing with. And it's the normal reaction to loss, period. Okay. So again, the loss could be of, someone losing their sight. Sometimes we even grieve over the little small things. I mean, have you ever had the experience of can't find your keys? Can't find your phone?
Yes.
Okay. You see that text keeps coming through saying that bill is going to be withdrawn out of your bank account, but the account is already on E. And so we grieve over finances. So there's so many different
Okay.
ways that one can grieve. Yeah.
I like how you said that because I had someone who really had their place was broken into, and a lot of meaningful things that they would never see again because it was
Yes.
given,
Yes.
literally grieved over all of it. And it was a little surprising to me because my house had never been broken into, but I did. I wanted to empathize and see, wow, this is really meaningful to them.
Yes.
And let me just pause for a minute because those things wasn't replaceable.
Right. there's so, like I said, there's so many different ways that one can grieve, and like you said, those things cannot be replaced. Memories will remain with us, but things that have value, that have monumental components to it, can be very, very challenging if they're no longer present. If someone's house has a fire, and those,
Yes.
you just see those things burn up right before your very eyes. Someone breaks into your home and takes something that doesn't belong to them. It can be a very challenging situation.
Right. Yes.
So in your
yes.
workshops, you're doing a lot of wonderful workshops around the
Yes.
city, around the country. And what would you say are you finding are most, what are some of the top areas that people seem to be grieving in that, is it death?
Yes, absolutely. The loss of a loved one. That's,
Yeah.
again, that's the first thing that comes to your mind when you say someone is grieving. And then sometimes we grieve the fact that we have lives that we need to continue to live. So how am I going to move forward? I'm still grieving because I've lost this person, but how do I live without that person being in my life? So that's another component of grief. And then some people grieve about, their health. Being diagnosed with
Yes.
something that they weren't anticipating. I was at the hospital earlier today, and I was talking with a family, and there was a person who came into the hospital for one thing, and then something was discovered, later on that they weren't anticipating. So that's a whole different level of grief, right? We think about mothers and fathers who have been anticipating, having a newborn, and then you have the back-to-back experience of a miscarriage or a perinatal loss. The next thing would be finances.
Which is high right now, from what I understand,
Yes.
especially within the perinatal loss, especially within the African American community.
Yes, um, we were very challenged in healthcare, and sometimes people feel that if I don't have health insurance, there's no alternative. But there's so much that is out there for us, but we just need to be educated. We die because of lack of knowledge. No one is going to
Yes.
turn you away, but you just have to have the right resources, and don't be afraid to ask for help and say, I'm in need of help. We see so often where babies are dropped off at the hospitals or dropped off at the fire station or the police station because the parents just don't have the bandwidth to be able to care for a child. At least they
Thank
don't think
God
that
they
they
dropped them off,
Absolutely.
opposed to the
Yes.
alternative.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And sometimes people can assume because they did that or they didn't want the child that they're not grieving. It's within their own minds that whatever it is, the reason why they gave the child up. But they're grieving, they're hurting.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes we don't really understand. Well, one, we don't understand grief. Two, we push it away. Three, I think we can be more merciful and gracious to people when they're going through things, rather than that, well, get over it, or when I went through, and talk a little bit about that too, Dr. Portia, because a lot of times we want to give advice from what we have experienced, and that's very limited.
Absolutely. I like to be able to say sometimes just your presence,
Yes.
just being there, just being present, not trying to go into Olivia mode of fixing it. So sometimes it's just okay just to sit back and just relax and just ask that person, if there's something that you need, let me know. Or sometimes even in that situation, sometimes people don't even know what they need at that
Yes.
particular time. So
Yes,
if you can
for
be
sure.
empathetic or just compassionate enough to kind of trade places with that person for a minute and say, if I was in this space, what would I need? So the first thing people mostly need, especially if they don't have finances or insurance policies, if they've lost someone, they're going to need some money, right? They're going to need food. They may need travel arrangements made for them. Let's just say they may have a lot of people coming in from out of town. They're going to need the house clean. They're going to
Yes.
need gas in the car.
So from the hospital perspective, how do you help with some of those social services?
And then we pull in social workers for that.
That help even with financing and
Well, we try to give them resources,
Yes.
to be able to do different things because, there's.
Travelers Aid Society still assists people.
You know what? I'm not sure. I'm not really
Used
sure
to,
about
if
that.
you had
Yeah.
a death in the family, would assist with bringing them in if it was plain, any kind of
That's a good question, though, because unfortunately, a lot of organizations kind of dried up during COVID.
But
Yeah.
United Way is still very active
Yes.
to be able to help out. And a lot of times when you call the airlines and you explain to them the situation, sometimes they can give you a discount. And just sometimes just putting it out there and just asking people because we're all are connected. We're like 2 or 3 degrees away from each other from that blessing that you need at that particular time.
That's true. And calling 211. 211
Yes,
is a great
absolutely.
resource,
That's an
to
excellent
call.
resource.
Yeah, excellent resource.
So we might have some people out here who are watching us today,
Yes.
right here on WJZZ. We're on Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, and all streaming platforms. And if you are listening today and you have a situation going on, you don't have to say your name. We've got two wonderful people right here who are welcoming the opportunity to share with you what they've gone through, and they might be able to assist you. So please give us a call here at the station at 313-355-6018. Again, that number's 313-355-6018. So be sure and call. You don't have to say your name, but feel free to call in if
Yes.
you're going through something and you would like some assistance. Give us a call, 313-355-6018.
So, Dr. Lockett, I know you have experienced quite a bit of loss yourself. Can you tell us how that was impactful for you, and what are some of the tools that you use to get through it, and what it did to you, that impact?
Yes. So I've been in this situation, several times, losing my father when I had just graduated from college, and my father was not present for me to be able to see me, walk across the stage. Not there to walk me down the aisle when I got married. He wasn't there to see my children being born and all the accomplishments that I've made, over the years. And then there was my mother, who was my rock star. She was my shero. She was my everything, right? And so losing that person, it just puts some challenges, on my life. But, but one thing I can say about my parents, they prepared me for everything. Everything that I went through prepared me for this moment right here and today. I can say that about my parents. And then the loss of my son.
God was ordering your steps all along.
He
and
was.
You didn't even realize
Absolutely,
the order.
absolutely. And then the loss of my son. When he transitioned, when he passed away, he was murdered. Actually, that took me down a path that I never ever thought that I would travel on, because I'm that person, who would, escort parents, into the morgue to be able to identify their loved ones or their child. I was the one who would carry the children, who were prematurely born back to the parents, to be able to let them have those moments with their children. And so, of course, when this happened to me back in 2020 with the loss of my son, God spoke to me and he says, I'm going to get the glory out of this. And so after, getting some therapy myself and getting some counseling and just pulling back from helping everybody else, I said, Portia, you need to be able to help yourself. So what are some things that I need to do? Again, I had to pull back. I had to withdraw from all the things, everybody else's cares of the world. I just had to put everything just on pause and just do me and take care of me.
Yes.
And that was the first step. And then after I got back, into the work mode again and got back acclimated into life, because, I felt like my life was shutting down. And so here we have from that the Wjzz Benet Lockett Foundation, which God told me I'm going to get the glory out of it. And he said the sole premise is going to be able to help you heal, offer you hope, and hold your heart. So we just experienced 1 year of celebrating the foundation, where we're doing a phenomenal job. I'm so proud of all of our board members and all the people who have contributed to help us to move forward in helping people to heal, offer them hope, and hold their hearts by utilizing individuals like yourself, Dr. Pat, to be able to talk with those individuals through therapy and through counseling. Because sometimes when people are going through, they don't really know, but actually sitting down and talking with some that can be able to walk them through and guide them through the steps and allow them just to be open and help them to accept the situation.
Well, I love your title, Permission to Love.
Permission to
I was
Love.
like, wow.
Yes.
Tell us how you came up with the title.
So again, it's permission to love again. And so, having one of those one-on-one conversations with God, because nobody was going to know, what is the Wjzz Benet Lockett Foundation? Well, what do you do?
And that was your son's name.
And that was my
Wjzz
son's
Benet.
name. Absolutely. Wjzz Benet
Yes,
Lockett.
yes.
Yes. And so, saying yes to that. and in finding out that we have to do something to be able to get, the Detroit metropolitan area, accustomed to who we are. So we had to come up with something. And so God spoke to me just like we're having a conversation here. He said, you're going to have a permission series, permission to grieve, because there's so many people who don't understand or feel that they have permission to grieve beyond that 2 week period, beyond a year. Sometimes it takes individuals 9 years or 10 years to be able to say, okay, I have to deal with this. Everyone's different, right? And then after you grieve, how do we begin to heal? What does that healing journey look like? Do I need to get assistance? Do I need to be in a group? Do I need to, move forward? Do I need to adjust some things in my finance? Whatever the situation is, how do I heal? And then we came back with permission to live and laugh, because sometimes when we're going through, we pull back, we withdraw. We don't feel that we have the ability to even live. We don't feel like we can even get out of the bed and wake up in the mornings. And so sometimes that leads to one maybe utilizing some drugs to be able to help them to sleep, or drinking to be able to, just to cover up those feelings, right? And so then we came up with permission to love again. So this is the fourth part of the series, because with permission to love again, sometimes we don't feel as if, because I'm in this situation, I've lost this loved one, there's nobody else out there for me to love. There's nobody out there that's going to love me. And I don't even know if I can love the people who are still left here. Excuse me. And this space.
Forgiveness, I know, is a part of that.
Absolutely.
Recovery process. Forgiving yourself, forgiving God, forgiveness.
Absolutely.
Whoever you need to forgive, that's a huge part of us being able to move on. And I said that was your son's name, but your son is still a light.
Absolutely.
That is shining on even beyond his earthly body that isn't here anymore.
Absolutely.
And I think that's an area that we all have to get to. We're lights here on the planet, and we want to shine as bright as we can, so that even after we've gone from this earthly body, our light is still shining.
Absolutely.
And with the Azel Benet Lockett Foundation, it is allowing his light to still shine as well as your own.
Yes. And continuing on with that, sometimes people go through relationships and they just say, it's just two good people, they're not good together anymore, so let's just dissolve this relationship. Or it could be a toxic situation, or abusive situation. Or there may be people who are been married for a long period of time who've kind of like lost that excitement, that fire. So how do we gain that back? So when we talk about permission to love again, there's so many different components that we can reach out to and learn how to love again, regardless.
Do you have a lot of divorced people, that were a part of your program, that were divorced? Because that's a loss.
Yes, absolutely. From people from all walks of life. We don't label it and just say,
so you're not just focused on one area. Okay.
I actually attended last year one event. It was awesome.
You did tell me it was awesome.
It was awesome. It was just love and light and just healing and just a lot of love in the whole room.
But I'm glad that you brought up divorce because you're right. Different people go through it in a different way. And this is my second marriage, and I went to a divorce recovery. So there were two things that happened during that divorce recovery. One, you wouldn't have told me in a million years that people who going through a divorce would have come into the recovery group with their new partners. So that was one. Okay. Okay. Yes. Then two, in my own little personal group, when we broke off, this is the reason that forced me to heal. So I want to thank the lady. I don't know her name, but this was years ago anyway. She said that, because you're right, people can grieve for a very long time. And she says, I just haven't gotten over my husband. Then when she told me that the man was remarried and have kids and she had been grieving about 9 or 10 or 11 years, I said, oh, hell no. I'm up from here. I'm going to heal. Lord, heal me.
Yes, now, right? Yes.
That is one of the things that I tell people. I was divorced too, many years ago. And it took me 7 doggone years to heal. Sitting in counseling, I tell people in a heartbeat, don't let anything take you so long. That's 7 years out of your life. And sitting in counseling, Christian counseling, it was like a light went on, like a bulb that I had to forgive.
Amen.
I'm like,
Absolutely.
what?
Yes.
Why do I gotta forgive? Well, you ain't perfect.
Right.
You do things. God said you do stuff that hurts my heart too. So your heart might be hurting, but you have to forgive those people right on the planet that you're looking
Absolutely.
at.
And forgive
And
yourself.
That's
forgive
it.
yourself.
That's
That's
so
so
crucial
important.
because sometimes we get caught up in saying, "Well, I'm going to forgive you. I'm going to forgive you, forgive
You
you."
got
But
to forgive yourself.
we have to take some ownership in the situation
That's
too,
right.
because
That's
Exactly.
we
right.
allowed certain
Exactly.
things to be done. We allowed certain things to be said to
So happy
us.
you
Yes.
said
Okay,
that.
Yes. So
so
important.
what I always say is that I have this little exercise, and I say we're going to inhale, we're going to
Yes.
exhale.
You know, I'm
We're
exhaling
going
to
to
life with
forgive
Regina.
ourselves and everybody else so that we can move on.
Yes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't forgive, it's very hard to be futuristic and move to that next level.
That's
Exactly.
right. That's
Period.
right. I
So
love that.
important.
I so love it because oftentimes we are pointing fingers, and yes, it is that person who was abusive. Yes, it is that person that did things that were very harmful or hurtful, but toxic. But just looking at our role is going to give us so much healing because then we'll know what we have to do for us in order to avoid those traps again.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
if we don't get it, we're going to entrap again. That's, you know, my dad used to say all the time, learn. Stop repeating, and then that's what they call it. And that's what insanity is. You know, doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So we do want you callers to call in at 313-355-6018. You are watching Community Updates and Enlightened Hearts live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world.
We do have someone who texted in that said, my daughter has passed, and it's been 2 years now, and I'm having a very challenging time and just letting go. My heart
Yes.
is sore.
And I
Yes.
can imagine. I can only
Yes.
imagine. It's just because, you know, we're supposed to allow our children to take care of us, be the caregivers of us,
You
and you know
don't,
the opposite.
they're
And
not
that,
supposed to go first.
rather, they're not supposed to go first, right? But and unfortunately, that happened, and I can just say to you, Mom, there's the African verbiage that says, as long as the blood runs through your veins, and you continue to call out your daughter's name, her spirit will remain alive. So I just encourage you to do things that would honor your daughter, whatever it is that brought her joy. So if she enjoyed reading, I don't know how old the daughter was, but you know, if she was a young, does it say there how old she was?
No.
Okay. If she was a young adult, you know, a grown person, then do things to honor her.
She was a young adult
A young adult, okay. So,
in her 30s.
in her 30s. So try to identify those things that she enjoyed doing. So if she loved, let's just say, reading to young children, find a school and go and read to children to honor your daughter. If she loved singing, depending on what kind of music that she enjoyed listening to, you know, play some of that music. You know, go and maybe support somebody who is in the music industry if that's what she was enjoyed doing. Do things that honor her. Go plant a tree in your
Yes.
backyard or near your place of worship or in a park that will honor your daughter. Write her a letter and just tell her, you know, dear baby, you know, I'm going to miss you. And some of the things that I really enjoyed doing and caring for you while you were alive, I'm going to miss you. But what a couple of things that I'm going to hold close and dear to my heart are, and make a list of those things. I'm going to miss you because, you know, I remember, and then have those remember times, you know, where you can sit down as a family and
Make
do the
a remembrance box.
remembrance box. And just have
Yeah.
that conversation where you're just talking. I remember when. And so if she had children or other members in the family, and so sometimes when we have those conversations of the remember whens, you know, sometimes you'll laugh, sometimes you'll cry, but you'll have wonderful memories. And those are some things that you will have forever, and they can never ever be taken away from you.
Yeah, and you know, I just want to add to that. And a lot of times when we are going through grief, I love what you said, Michelle. We do have to forgive. We have to forgive ourselves. We have to forgive others. But you know, we need to have a conversation with God. a lot of times people have said, well, you can't question God, or, you got to be careful what you say. God is
that's not
stronger than us. He can handle anything.
That's right.
And when I was going through my grieving process of healing from the sexual abuse that I suffered, I let God have it.
Yeah.
And you know something? God showed me myself through a scripture. I can't remember what it is, where it is, but it really showed me that I was being a brute beast before the Lord. I was literally just having a fit. And when I read that, it was David. David said, I was a brute beast before you. And something clicked that even David unleashed. And so it really helped my heart just to let it go. And I was so much better for it. And I'm so much closer to God for it. But if I had just locked that all up because of what people said, how I had to act before the Lord, God can handle us.
Yeah.
So I do want that to be known. And if anything you want to add to that in our grieving, knowing that we do get angry with God.
Yeah. And God understands.
That's
And
it.
God understands and God forgives.
Yes.
He does, but I would caution anyone to, it's one thing to be angry, but sin not, as the Bible says, because you can change the whole course of your life by what you put out in the universe.
Absolutely.
So even in
We
your
do it.
anger
Yeah.
with God, be mindful of what you say to him, because he still is God.
Yeah.
And
He can take it though. Michelle, what I mean by that, I'm not
saying-
telling you to go curse. I'm not
gonna-
telling you to do that.
I'm going to say this. So I said to God, I know enough about you. In my anger, I said, I know enough about you. I can handle this life on my own. Change the whole course of my life by what I put into the universe.
Not only put, but you acted up on it, right?
I didn't act upon it till I put it out in the
That's what I
universe.
mean. Yeah.
That was an act.
Yes.
Because our words do have power.
Yeah.
So we want to be careful. So it's better to shut up until you can line up. It's better to be quiet.
Yeah. So just
And
it's
David,
okay.
I mean, Moses did go back and forth with God, bargaining.
Yeah, I guess, to a point, I do hear you, and I can't disagree with your story. I do like how we experience it differently. What I said to the Lord, it didn't happen. I just want to be clear about that, because I did tell God about my hurts. And let me be clear. Telling God about your hurts, how you hurt, where you going, how you feel about him, how you feel unloved by him, how you feel lonely, how could he do this, blah, blah, blah. So let me just clear up, that's what I meant. But I also believe in God's protection too. Maybe that's the road you had to go down, and I don't fight people's story.
Well,
What
we
I
should tell God how we're
Yeah,
feeling.
and so what I want to
agree.
do is not put a tap on people, because God can handle it, and he can redirect us, and he can guide us, and he can strengthen us through our most weakness. As a matter of fact, the word says, when I am weak, then I am strong. And the Bible says where there is
Does
sin,
abound,
grace
does much
abound
more.
even the more. So I do want to make that clear. That's all. And so I don't want to minimize stories. I don't. And people experience it just like you. But I don't
agree
want to
with
make
you.
sure. Yeah.
That we should share our
Yeah,
feelings.
we
to God.
do need to.
All I was saying was be careful what you say.
Yeah.
In your expression, because
Okay.
it can change the course of our mouths can
Yes.
change the course of our lives, depending on what we're saying. But we should always have a conversation and talk to him and share with him about our challenges in life.
Yeah.
'Cause
But then
we have
also
them.
have to be mindful too, is that you both are very spirit-filled women. Sometimes when we're counseling and we're having conversations with other women, other people, period, they may not be in the same space we are
That's
spiritually.
right. That's right.
So
That's
you may
right.
have a conversation with someone who's never been introduced to God, never been introduced to Christ, period.
They
And
know
so
what
like,
you're
what, are you,
talking about.
what are you talking about? So we have to be able to make sure that we're putting tools
I love that. That's
in
right.
place to be able to help those people, kind of move in a different direction to get to their
'Cause
healing.
they do.
And when they
That's right.
feel, when you kind of sense that they're ready to be led to Christ, led
That's
to
right.
God, then that's good. But not at that onset.
That's
Because a lot
right.
of times people will say things like, God never gives you more than what you can bear at the very beginning. And sometimes that's not right. The first thing that needs to come out of your mouth, because well, who is God? And if God really loved me, why did he allow this
That's
to happen?
right. That's
So
right.
A
that's
lot of
not-
people say that.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
So that's not a way to win a soul at that particular time. We're not trying to win souls at that
That's
particular
right.
time.
Comforting.
That's so
You-
right. I
absolutely.
love yes, thank you for saying that, because I even struggle when we do that at funerals. People are grieving, so, is that a good time to win souls? I know churches do it, and some people, I always have questioned that. Is this really a good time? People are hurting right
Yeah,
now.
but what I'm saying is, no, I'm not saying that you can't win
No,
souls
I
at
get
a
it.
funeral, because if that's every situation is different.
Right.
What I'm saying is specifically to those persons who have lost someone at that particular time, and then we're saying comments like that God never, and they're questioning, well, who is God? I don't know who this God is. I don't have a
Right.
relationship that my grandma had with God. So what are we doing here?
Right.
One of the things I always say is, our minds, we talked about it a little bit earlier, you said it, Michelle, is that what we allow to come out of our mouths is going to eventually manifest. And so I've just come to the realization that whatever you think, you're going to eventually speak it, and whatever you speak is going to manifest. So whatever you don't want to manifest, don't give it any thought. Be careful with what we're thinking, because eventually when we're thinking on something, you know how sometimes, you can think about somebody, I had a conversation with my girlfriend just yesterday, and she was saying how she was thinking about somebody, and she came across a picture of this person, and within an hour that person called. They hadn't talked in years,
I've had that
but it was
happen,
just a
yeah.
thought. Or sometimes you'll be thinking about somebody, and then the phone will call, or you'll receive a text, you're like, wait a minute, or you'll get a card, or it's like, wait a minute, right? So our thoughts are so powerful.
They
I
are.
was watching a movie on Netflix. I think it was called The Bees something, but it was about these women who were in an assisted living home.
Oh, Queen Bees.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
good.
And the one lady, she was just mean and just evil. Her name was Janet.
Mean and surly.
Yes, and just, oh my God. And so the other ladies just said, time out. We don't want to be around all this negativity all the
Right.
time. But then when she realized that no one wanted to be in her space because of her attitude, she was angry because the person that she lost was never going to return again. And so she just got really, really bitter.
Bitter.
And angry.
Yeah.
And then the other lady was bitter and angry because, she was ready to move on, and her relationship with her daughter just kind of like was on the brink of just breaking. But then at the end they were able to have a conversation and talk. Communication is key.
And knowing that, and also as a cognitive behavioral therapist, let me just say that your thoughts can change. You can
Yes.
change the way you think.
Yes.
And so I do hear you and Michelle, and I love you guys both. Just let me say, though, that you can change the way you think. I do agree. Thoughts have power, but we can also change the direction of that power.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Amen. I agree.
I agree.
People always say things like, I learned this years ago. People say, well, I'm broke.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
As
I wonder
opposed
why
to-
they always broke.
Right. As opposed to, I'm in between my financial blessings.
Yes, yeah,
know,
that's
make
true.
big
It's the
changes.
perspective,
It's-
right? It is the
yes,
perspective.
absolutely.
I
I'm
love
never
that.
gonna find a
yes.
man, but if you're never gonna find a man, guess
You're not
what?
gonna find
You're
a
not
man.
gonna find a man.
And most of the time, now that's the truth, because I mean it really
put it out
is.
there.
Yeah, and putting it out there, that's so true. But not only are you putting it out there, but because you believe it. That's the way you're walking. So
Yes.
even if your husband was right in your face, you're not gonna see him because you didn't believe you could find a man.
Right.
I mean, that's just truth right there. Because you can't believe, you can't see something that you don't believe in.
Absolutely.
And that's why I do love the power of God. Because God can bring about change in us and with us. Because I've heard people say, like during the Emmys, they said, I didn't even see all this coming into my life. They didn't have no belief for it, but it came. And so that also leads me to know that God reigns on the just and the unjust. He just reigns on us. And so, but I do believe and agree that we have to be ready for it.
Absolutely.
We do have to be ready for it because they were obviously ready for the
Yes.
blessing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah. So I love that. And I love, we have two, well, tell us about your that's coming up on February 17th.
Yes. So this is the last part of our series, the Permission
Okay.
series, Permission to Love Again. So I just encourage you just to come on out. You can get your tickets on azalbenelockettfoundation.org.
We're
Or
coming. My
can you
husband and I
spell
are
that
coming.
for us? Yes. AZALBENELOCKETTFOUNDATION.org.
Okay.
azelbenelocketfoundation.org, or you can go straight to Eventbrite and put in Permission to Love again, and you can get your tickets. The tickets are $25 per person and $40 for two people.
We coming. My husband and I,
Yes.
we
So
gonna
I'm
be
just
there.
excited
It's 4 to
about it.
7.
It's from 4 to 7 on
Yes.
Saturday at Wayne County Community College, Outer Drive. That's the Northwest Campus. And I'm just so
Yes.
excited because, as you can see, you talked earlier, Wayne County Community College is doing some wonderful things in the Detroit metropolitan area, and they have been a huge partner to us. And by us being able to put together programs like this, it also comes with people who believe in what we're doing. Kemp Funeral
Yes.
Home has been a long-term partner with us. Detroit
That's
Wayne
awesome.
Integrated Health Network has been a partner with us. Prestige Automotive is partnering with us right now. Sam, 1-800-SAM.
Call
is
Sam.
call Sam.
All
He's gonna be
right, all
partnering with
right.
us as well, and so we're just elated to be able to partner with us. Detroit Area of Aging Agency is going to be partnering with us, and so when you have organizations like that kind of see the work that you're doing, and they're backing you to be able to put together programs like this, and that says a lot. So I just thank God,
You
for
got some good, strong partners.
absolutely.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
Tell us, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Yes, so you can go to my website, drportialockett.com. That's drportialockett.com. And you can also follow me on Instagram, Portia Lockett.
Ooh,
on
you gotta slow
Facebook.
down.
Okay,
Yes.
Instagram, Portia Lockett, Facebook, Portia Lockett, and on LinkedIn, Dr. Portia Lockett. And you can also follow us again on the azelbenelocketfoundation.org or the Facebook for Azel Benet Lockett Foundation.
And the young lady that was given the advice said thank you.
Oh, God bless you, sweetheart.
Yes. Yes.
And let her know that, and just for anybody that wants to come, and for whatever reason you're not ready, or I'm just going to put it out there, in a situation where you may be challenged financially, that you're in between your financial blessings, I'll put it like that. DM me, reach out, and because we do have some folks who donated some tickets to the event that
That's
is a
awesome.
blessing. Yeah, so we've got about 5 tickets, I think, that were donated right now that are still
So they would
unaccounted for.
DM you on your Facebook page,
They can reach out to me on my Facebook page.
which is Dr. Portia
No,
Lockett.
Facebook is just Portia Lockett.
Portia Lockett on
Yes.
Facebook.
You
Okay.
can reach out to me.
You know, before we go, we have a little bit more time. What I wanted to ask you, because oftentimes we do focus on adults a lot and their grieving and stuff. And even here today, we've done a lot of that. But I just wanted to make sure that I ask, do you have a focus on young people as well as children who are going through grief? Because a lot of children are going through various grief as well, and young people, even friends who have lost. I have had people to come in, they lost their best friend, and they're grieving, and they lost them when they were children.
Yes. Well, the thing of it is when they get in contact with the foundation, when you go to our website, the azelbenelocketfoundation.org, there is a form that you can fill out. So
Okay.
depending on what it is, whatever your situation may be, and you may say specifically my children, my young adult, or whatever that is, that we have therapists and counselors that specialize in those areas, as well as family counseling, couples counseling, individual counseling, whatever it is that you may need, we can partner you up with that partner.
I
That will be
love
able to help
that.
you.
Okay.
Sometimes people have insurance and sometimes they don't. And when they
That's
don't have
right.
insurance, then what we try to do is work with one of our partners who are doing some things with us in kind.
And
That's
speaking
wonderful.
of partners, we have a partner. One of our supporters, sponsors, Todd Bernstein with ABB Wealth Strategies, gives people instruction on how to have better financial strategies, whether they're still working or definitely when they're in retirement. There are still things that you can do while in retirement to have other streams of income that you might not have even been aware of. And so we're going to be sharing movie tickets at a close theater soon. But in the meantime, you can feel free to give Todd Bernstein a call at area code 248-988-8200. He's one of our sponsors here on WJZZ, Community Updates and Enlightened Hearts on Cool TV. And again, that's ABB Wealth Strategies. They're going to give you strategies for increased wealth.
Nice.
Give Todd Bernstein a call at area code 248-988-8200. again, Dr. Portia Lockett, we thank you for being our guest this evening. And
It's my
people,
pleasure.
don't forget to go to her Facebook page, go to her website. There's an event coming up February the 17th, and the time was
4 to 7.
4 to 7 at Wayne
Yes.
County Community College District's Northwest Campus,
Right.
which is on Otter Drive in Detroit, right near the Southfield Freeway.
Absolutely.
And the tickets are $25
$25
and two
and two
for
for
40.
40. Yes, you
so
must get a
it's an
ticket.
excellent.
No money exchanged at the door. Just want to make sure people are very
Okay,
clear
so
with
no
that.
money exchanged at the door. You
Yes.
heard that. So be sure and go to her website, go to her Facebook page, and it'll direct you. And
LinkedIn.
and whatever social platform that you're on, you can find Dr. Portia Lockett. Even if you put it in a Google search, this beautiful face will come up.
Yes. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching Community Updates and Enlightened Hearts live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Thanks for tuning in.